going, everybody? Sean here with theglobalguitarist.com. Another video for you this week. I've had some conversations with some friends about mixing workflow and different methods, and everybody has their own method. I just wanted to cover mine and show you a little bit about my workflow. I've done some videos in the past, but I'm just going to give a broad overview of how I attack a mix here in Pro Tools. It should translate to most other DAWs. You know how to work in your DAW, whichever one that is. This is how I work in Pro Tools, and it's an overview of my entire mix workflow. So, first of all, I just want to cover the fact that I'm using Slate Digital Virtual Console Collection here, and it's just a plugin that you instantiate on each track in the session. As you can see, every track in my session I've got this VCC, and it's basically just an emulation of mixing through an actual large format console. It's got 5 of them here. I don't remember all of them. There's Brit 4K as an SSL, the Brit N is an Eve, this one here is a Trident, and I forget which ones these two were, but I just stick with this one. I think it sounds the best to me, you know. And again, it's just this. Here's a drive, and that's basically how much of the effect you're going to get. So, you know, I'm emulating how it would sound mixing through an actual large format console. Just in case you were wondering what that is, that's on every channel, and that's what I'm using that for. So I like to color code all my tracks and group all my tracks. As you can see, I've got a drums group here, which is all my drum tracks. I've got a vocal group, all my vocal tracks, guitars, same, all through here. And I've also got bass and organ here. I don't group those, I don't need them because it's just, you know, a couple of tracks each. But I color code everything. And a lot of folks you'll see will make it so that every track in their session is a different color. I don't like to do that because honestly I don't know how you can tell where you're in the session. When you go to your edit window, I like all my tracks, like all my drum tracks are red, and that's how it is across the edit window too. I know where I'm at. I know the red's my drums, the blue's my vocals, and I have a bright blue to stand out the lead vocal track. It just helps to see visually quickly. I can tell where I'm at and I know what I'm looking for. All my guitars are green. Sometimes I'll make my acoustics one color, my electrics a different color, but sometimes I won't. So that helps a lot, and I recommend doing that. What I like to do is group all my tracks, and I'll send all my drum tracks here. You can see the outputs go to drum bus, and the input of this auxiliary track is drum bus. So all my drums are bouncing through this auxiliary track here, okay? From there, I'm routing to submix. And this is something people question me about a lot. Typically, all of your audio tracks will route to a master fader. Well, what I like to do is go to a submix first, okay? So every track in the session, yes, my drums are routed to this aux track, but the output of that aux track is submix. My vocals route to a vocal bus on this aux track, but the output is to submix. The guitars go to this guitar bus, or this aux track here, and then go to submix. That's a way you can use one fader to affect the levels of all these tracks, all these guitar tracks, or the vocals, or the drums. But the outputs are all going to submix, okay? And then there's my bass and my organ. So everything is routing to this submix. You see I have a little bit of bus compression on there, like a dB or 2. Once everything is going, basically summing in this master submix here, from there it's going to the main outs. And you may be wondering why I have 2 master faders here. A lot of people don't even know you can do this. I didn't know you can do this until I saw someone online do it, and it's really helped my workflow. Create 2 master faders. One of them is going to be your actual master fader, your output, to your main outs. The other one, you set the output to this submix here, okay? This is where all the audio is routed to. So it's basically monitoring the bus that the audio is traveling on to go to this aux track, okay? Does that make sense? So you can see it's a little lower here. That's the audio actually on this bus. And then when it hits this aux track, I'm going through this compressor, this Massey compressor, and I'm boosting about, I don't know, 6 dB, 5 or 6 dB, just to raise the level a bit. So you can see how the actual level here is lower, because that's the levels on that bus, but then when it hits this bus, this aux track, I'm boosting levels up a little higher. And of course you don't want to clip, and I usually don't go that high, but I'm on my laptop, I'm in the field right now, I'm at work actually, so that's why the audio kind of sucks too. I'm sorry about that, by the way. I'm not in my studio. with a nice mic and all this stuff. I'm working off my laptop this morning. So, all right, moving on. So I've covered my master fader and my submix and my groups and blah blah blah. If you've been doing this for any length of time, I mean, you know that it's pointless to put a reverb on every track. If you're going to use reverb, I mean, set up one reverb. I use two, actually, in this session. I've got one that's like a short plate, and then I've got a medium room. And you can hear the vocal track here. It sounds great with these two reverbs. I got that short reverb just to bring that reverb, that vocal to life, and then you get the long tail of this longer reverb. And that might be a little too wet. I put this mix together pretty quickly this morning, and but point is, you know, that's one workflow. So you have your reverb set up on an aux track. I'm sending however much I want of my vocal track to that reverb, and the same goes for your guitars or your backup vocals. I haven't set all those up yet. I've got a lead guitar here with some delay. Again, I've got a delay here on this aux track, with the input of this aux track set to delay, my delay bus, and then the guitar here is sent to delay, and you can send however much you want. And you can send pre-fader or post-fader. Okay, so there's my routing and my effects and all that, my track colors. As you can see, I've got a full session here. I don't know how many tracks, like 20 tracks maybe, something like that. This grouping and these aux tracks here really come in handy when you've got a lot of tracks in a session, like 40, 50, 60 tracks and more. That's the first thing the pros will tell you they do, is they group a lot of their crap together. And sometimes they'll even like take a section of instruments or vocals and bounce them to a track just so that that's done. And I mean, you can take a 100-track session down to 40 or 50 tracks in a heartbeat. Well, maybe not in a heartbeat, but pretty quickly, and minimize your session and organize it by doing that. One more thing to cover. One thing that I haven't shown you yet is markers. This, at the top of the session here, in your edit window, you have all these options for whatever you want to see at the top. See, I can see the minute, second counter, bars and beats, tempo, the time signature, and then markers here. And you can change this by clicking on this little down arrow. Markers. Check this out. This is a huge help. You're going to click the plus sign. Let's just say intro. Okay. I can take this, set it to the intro of the song, which will be, so let's just call that intro. Okay. Set another one. Let's say verse 1. Just listen for whenever I come in. Sing. Look for the vocal track right there. Okay, so set that right when I start singing the first verse, and you can set that. Okay. Chorus. In fact, let's just say chorus 1. Let's see, I think it's going to be... That's verse 2, but we'll go to the chorus, which I think is right here. No, actually... Yeah, I believe it's right here. Yep, there's the chorus. Chorus 1, and then verse 2. Goes back here, I believe. Yeah, that was verse 2, and so on. And so these really help in your session, and you're clicking around and zooming around. You can just take a look at your markers, and boom, I know my chorus is there, or my verse, or my intro. I really recommend doing that. And you can go into setup and preferences, and here look for under display, default clip color coding. Always display marker colors. If you don't have that checked, then your markers are just going to look like that. That's fine if you want to do that. Honestly, for me, I think it's easier if you have those colored. Another thing is, you see this right here under default clip color coding, track color. I always select that just to make sure all my tracks are in the edit window all the same color as what they are in the mix window. So anyway, folks, that is the rundown on my workflow in Pro Tools. Let me know what you think of that. Post some comments. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to hear from you. Have a great week, folks.